tell the truth. Please. Hey, tell the truth. MYCOL. Hey, tell the truth. Hey, tell the truth.
Welcome our guests, welcome everybody that's going to be tuning back into this and going to be tuning in live with us. We're back with part 2 of our conversation. If you haven't, I say part 2, if you haven't heard the first one, go check that out on Mama D page on Facebook. That's on, what's your Facebook name? Devonna Lindsay, there you go. I'm about to say Instagram name. But also we'll have that as well on the website. We'll be having both of these episodes on the website very, very soon. Yeah. And on YouTube as well, on the D-Links TV YouTube channel. Okay, cool, you pinned it, cool. So we're back with part 2, and part 2 is about truth. I have a song on As Above, So Below, the album, called Tell the Truth, and Mama D has some questions for me that pertain to life, but also pertain to the song. Specifically, the last time we talked about the first song, the title track, As Above, So Below, an album that details the story of me losing my brother and going through the process of grief, depression, and healing and recovery to where I am now. So, yeah, feel free to ask any questions. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and let us know your favorite tracks and let us know, like, you know, where you tuning in from. So, yeah, without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Mama D. And you will see me snacking on this cake, vegan cake at that. Yeah.
So my question was for you. What prompted you to make this particular song?
What made you think about that?
I don't know. What made me think like to ask you that particular question? Your lyrics, like the hook. I wanted to ask about the hook. You say you willing to
ride or die, but you ain't gonna tell the truth.
Right. So what prompted
you willing to ride or die? You live in a lie, but you ain't gonna tell the truth.
Yeah, you live in a lie. But what prompted you to
write that specific part of the whole song? Just
the whole song, period. But I know did the lyric stand out a little bit, or the hook?
That's a good question. So that's when I was still working at my previous job, and I think it was like the weekend. And I was just at that point in time, I was in a dark place. I honestly didn't feel like I was doing anything towards my creative gifts or my creative talents or my purpose. So me writing that song, I wasn't even trying to write a song. I just wanted to write. So literally, I remember going on SoundCloud or YouTube. I found a random beat, and when I found this beat, it kind of just moved me in a way. And when it moved me, I was like, wow, like I'm digging this beat.
Right.
And it made me just want to let me just write what comes to mind. Don't matter how good or how bad it is. Let me just write, because at that point, I hadn't written anything. Possibly since Run for the last album.
Okay.
I hadn't written any poetry. I hadn't written anything.
Right.
So I just wanted to get back in the space of my creativity, but also like I wanted to feel something, because for some time, me working at their previous job, I was so focused on handling responsibilities, paying bills, making sure I was getting better, improving at work to where I wasn't improving in me. So yeah, that's essentially where it came from.
That's where it came from. So when you was writing, but why truth?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Why?
So
yeah.
The reason it went in that direction was so the lyrics start off. I didn't come up with the hook first. I came up with the first verse first. So the first line I wrote was, "I'd have been stuck in the mud, feeling for what? My life exactly what it was. But this time I don't want to give up, 'cause living for bucks was never really what it was." that was the first line I came up with. Well, the first couple lines that I came up with, because at that moment in time, I really felt stuck. Like, what am I doing? I felt like I was living, not necessarily for money, but I was living to make money, but wasn't doing anything with the money.
So you were in a hamster wheel.
Exactly.
Is that what you felt like?
I felt like I was in a cycle. I definitely felt like I was in a cycle. Because I enjoyed the money. I'm not going to lie to you. It was great. But what I had to do to get the money from the source of where it was coming from wasn't as fulfilling as actually having it. Because then once I had it, I wasn't doing anything intentional with it besides saving it, spending it on stuff that I don't even know. I don't even have to this day. So, let me see. I'd have been stuck in the mud, feeling for what? My life exactly what it was. This time I don't want to give up. So me writing was me in the sense of saying, like, I don't want to give up this time. So let me do something different. That was what we talked about last time at the title track, As Above So Below. I wanted to do something different this time by addressing that I wasn't okay, rather than me trying to like right past it or escape towards like, man, let me dream about this foreign world I'm not living right now. I was like, let me talk about exactly where I'm at as we speak. So then when I thought about that, it reminded me of where I once was when I wasn't addressing where I was presently, but more so trying to escape. So it reminded me back of being at parties and seeing people chug. So that's when it went to they pouring up chug. Don't worry, this liquor is legal, no drugs. So me kind of like playing out how I was at the party. Like, you're starting to come into, before I was able to get to where I am now, this is how I dealt with things. So me drink, not even just me drinking, but being in that environment.
Okay, all right.
And being like, if I chose to at that point in time, me being influential or influenced to do such actions and things of that nature. So it'd be me at parties and sitting back and seeing people take shots, or they having a keg and stuff like that in the basement. I remember we was even at one party, and the police and them coming in, and we all like literally piled in the back of this corner in the basement, and because a lot of us were underage.
And you wasn't telling me nothing.
She ain't know none of this.
The truth comes out. Tell the truth.
So literally they came in. They didn't see us in the back, but they eventually ended up going away because it was just a noise complaint. The music was too loud. Okay. But yeah, they were smoking down there. Like, it was cloudy. It was drinks. But literally had the keg stand to where they would hold the people by their feet upside down, and they'd be like, basically, that type of stuff. It was wild. We went to a few wild parties. Yeah, that was me attempting to live it up because I wasn't actually in college. So I was like, let me go ahead and get a taste of what, you know what I'm saying, they say this college life is all about.
Really?
Amongst dealing with other things. So so that was just like a play-by-play of like, if you were in my shoes, this is what's happening. They pouring up chug. Don't worry, this liquor is legal, no drugs. Hit up a plug and drop our location. But wait, ask them how much for a dub. And a dub is a certain amount of weed, basically. How much you would pay, like $20.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, and depending on where you go to get it, you know what I'm saying, $20 can get you a decent amount, and $20 can
get
not be a lot.
Crap.
Yeah. So they pouring up to hit up a plug and drop our location, but wait, ask them how much for a dub. I'm trying to turn up tonight. Bet the price is right. My homie just told me he just got the wheels and finna go grab some ice. I'm down for the ride. I'm trying to get out of the house till 3 a.m. Hold up, my mama just called. Where is you going? So me getting to that point, I was like, damn. It was kind of like a reminiscent. Like I was grateful to have experienced that, because I mean, at the time it was fun. It wasn't the safest, nor was it the wisest, but it was an experience that I can look back on and learn from. But then I was stuck again, because I was like, damn, I'm looking around like, my life is not that fulfilling. My life is not that exciting anymore.
When you were in the midst of that type of stuff.
It just wasn't worth it. So then me looking back, like, what do I want to come back to? Thinking of in the hook, but also thinking about in my life, where do I want to come back to? And then literally a voice in my head was like, tell the truth. It was telling me to tell the truth. So I was like, well, let me just tell myself to tell the truth. So I just, instead of me making it the hook, I was typing in my phone. I typed "Tell the Truth" as a visual reminder. Whenever I got stuck, that's what I would do. So it was to keep me on track, writing wise.
So tell your truth to yourself.
Yes, and it just ended up becoming the hook. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth, and then you got another.
No, because it just kind of goes back to this thing I think I told you all the time. Something I learned back when I was actually young, 19. I had a coworker at the time who is still a close friend tell me, say, whenever you are honest or truthful with yourself, then you can be honest and truthful with others. And that's something I've always told you. So I was thinking at that time, is when you say you were saying tell the truth to yourself. So does that keep you in awareness of where you actually are at that time in your life? When you say you was like at that time, you were saying tell the truth, because during that time, and I don't know if you want to talk about it, but is that where you went through a slight depression?
You talking about at the parties, or you talking about me writing?
Writing, when you were writing at that time.
I was most definitely depressed.
Okay.
And I was in the midst of it. I don't think that was even the lowest point of it yet, or maybe I was coming out of it. I don't remember exactly where I was within that. But I remember knowing I didn't know how bad it was. I didn't know how deep of a depression I was in.
Okay.
I just knew I wasn't happy with my life.
Yeah.
And nothing really gave me joy. I didn't have fun in a very long time during that part of my life. So it just kind of felt like I was just kind of like moving in the mud. And that was the whole tempo and pace of the song. I was stuck in the mud, just kind of constantly keep sliding forward. Not even picking my feet up.
Right.
Yeah. So that's and the hook me and the voice in my head telling me to tell the truth, but also like me coming back to it myself to tell the truth. It allowed me to finish that piece and feel some sense of fulfillment. Like, damn, I ain't felt this about myself in a while. Cause me finishing pieces, it brings me a sense of relief. Yeah. Personally, as a writer. Yeah. And just even reminiscing on that first verse, because for a long time, for maybe a week, I hadn't written the second verse yet. So it was just that first part, and I was just happy about that. And I was thinking to myself, like, wow, like this is an accomplishment for me. But I was like, if I ever did turn this into a song, it might be able to touch other people who are going through something similar.
Exactly.
And that's what inspired the second verse. To just really speak on the more deep-rooted issues of what I was facing, instead of me turning up to try and drown out the pain or drown out depression or drown out what I was going through. The second verse more so spoke to, like, I'm not happy. Like, it starts off, it goes, before I get to the bridge, you were asking earlier on the bridge. So, you willing to ride or die, you living a lie, but you ain't gonna tell the truth. You willing to ride or die, but you ain't gonna tell the truth. And then it goes back to something I wrote to myself that reminded me of a journey that I had been through at that point in time, to where, like, although I'm not okay, there's still a light inside of me that felt like you will be okay. And I knew up until that point in my life, I had gone through things that I thought I wouldn't be able to be okay through, but I was. So it made me feel like if I've come this far, I can go farther. So the bridge after that is the weight of a diamond. It's timing and pressure meets timing when diamonds will melt on top of a mountain. No calorie counting. I'm stepping, you following, just where I left. Out of the rubble, the struggle, the hustle, the muscle is just exactly where I felt. All of my pain. It came with the game and changed the way I went and saw myself, tell the truth. Which is basically what the song is all about. You go on this journey, and by the end of it, you're going to see yourself different based on the challenges you had to overcome and face that are going to reshape how you make decisions in the future, but also reshape who you once were.
Right, exactly.
Let me hit this. I thought that was higher up. It said 20% battery. I just sprayed on down.
Yeah.
It'll be alright.
We'll get it in before it does that, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just talk about that because I know a lot of people sometimes deal with depression. Where do you feel? You said when you started writing, you don't even know if that was your low point.
I don't.
Do you know what a low point was for you?
Yeah, when I thought about killing myself.
I remember that one.
I feel like that was probably the lowest point.
Okay. So, and at that point, you felt like there was nothing else you could do, but you were thinking that.
Yeah.
Okay. And one thing about it with that one, one thing that he did do is he asked for help. And some people, you have to know when you're at that point, you ask for help. And it's not a weakness. You know, that's a strength of yours. That you knew that you were at a certain low or a certain point in your life that you felt like, what's the use? But you were able to have the strength to ask for help or let someone know that you were at that point.
Who did I let know?
Then you let Teresa know?
I did. And I think it
and
was...
then she reached out to me.
Yeah, it was the way I was talking to her that alarmed her.
Right.
Because it was kind of like a final farewell. Like that last letter you want to write to loved ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I came back and asked you, was that how you were feeling? And you said yes. But one thing about it with that, when I always say get to know your children, you guys, Michael has always been, he's the only child, other than my other son, Javen, who passed away that we talked about. But he's the only child, living child. But the thing is, Michael has been the only child for a while. And then you always had like a thing where you do this hibernation, you know? And that's what I thought he was in. But I knew something wasn't quite right. So it's like I'm one of them ones where I stayed close, but then I stayed, you know, kind of like, you know, keeping you at arm's reach. But you still never really said anything to that magnitude. So my question would be then, to help others, what helped you come up out of that situation? First of all, we just say automatically, if you feel that way, ask for help.
Right.
But what prompts you to come up out of that situation?
After I said what I said to Teresa and she reached out to you?
Just period, like where you stand today, you know? You came up out of that.
I did. I am. That's a great question. Because I don't know if it was just one thing.
Okay.
So the very first physical thing is very, very odd. But at that time, we had adopted a cat named Virgo Sage. And she was with me during this time period. And the method I thought about going out was slitting my wrists. And I thought it would have been poisoning to her because she licks everything. When she used to lick the stuff. I thought if I did that, and that if my blood was like coming out or like, you know, leaked out and then I passed out unconsciousness, she would just keep licking my blood and it might poison her. So that made me not want to go through with that method because I didn't want to hurt her. So it was more so a psychological thing of me wanting to in the internal pain I was feeling within myself, but I still, the kind-heartedness of me still didn't want to cause someone else pain, even if it's a cat. So that's what made me not go through with that method. And then from there, I think by then I had already sent like my farewell message to Teresa. And then that's when she got in contact with you, and then you came, and then it was more so a ripple effect of just loved ones in my life not really allowing me to be alone with those thoughts, and me being in a space to me being in such a desperate space to where I didn't really have any rebuttal, because I knew I was in a place to where I wasn't healthy for myself. So I wasn't shunning you all away, but I also wasn't letting you guys all the way in either. It was this weird in between space where I was like, I'll let you be present, but you're still not gonna know what's really going on internally, because I didn't even know what was going on internally. So what really allowed me to get through it was like that initial act, because that initial act with Virgo made me not do the physical act of slitting my wrist. But then having loved ones in my life like you, like Teresa, like DeRay, like Jerry, like different people who came through just to speak to me or listen to me or take me on a ride, Norm, like different just loved ones who just poured life into me, honestly, and wouldn't let me go. And then from there, just talking about it. Once I was ready, because in the beginning I wasn't, and I didn't understand it. I just felt it.
Okay.
Because I hadn't processed anything yet. I was just feeling so much, and because I was feeling so much and overwhelmed, and then going back to work and dealing with a bunch of problems, and coming off of work and trying to process their problems. And by the time I finished processing their problems, I was tired, and then I wasn't given space to process my own problems or process what I was going through internally. Excuse me. I just feel like I didn't have space to breathe. So me having people around me that were willing to like take time to make time and just be there with me allowed me space to open up eventually and express myself.
Okay.
And that definitely helped. Yeah, that was one of the catalysts that definitely helped.
So someone being present and supportive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think eventually it was, I mean, you all said some very powerful things, but like just how much I had done to that point, and like who I am first and foremost was most important, and how much I served purpose in you all's life.
Don't trip this time.
You funny. You funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much I served purpose in you all's life, and how much more life I had to live and to experience, and how many more people I could help. And I don't suggest that's the best thing to speak to everybody in that space, but it had an impact on me personally.
Right.
Because some people might not want to hear that. Some people don't care about other people. They just focus on themselves at that point in time.
Right.
But for me, it had an impact.
Yeah. Because I remember at one point, I was driving and it hit me. My spirit spoke to me, and it was just like, you know, the enemy is coming for his mind, because it's always like that when you're getting ready to take off or God is about to use you, then, you know, the enemy doesn't want it, because then you can touch millions. And so I remember telling you that. And I know other people have said things to you, but you have a presence on your life. God is definitely present. And so therefore you have a journey that you need to continue. And I think that was just really one way of how Satan was just coming at you. So for me, it's one of them things where I've always said to you, I think when people have that supportive system where they can talk to someone is best. And so at the end of this, guys, I will put up a support number if you guys need that to talk, because sometimes you may not want to talk to a loved one at the time, but you need to talk to someone. And that's the truth. I think that really does help people. You can't keep those type of thoughts to yourself, because you're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. So yeah. Okay. So then you came up out of that. So then what's one thing that you feel that you are doing to somewhat keep you out of that? Because this is real, and we know this is real because you have had famous people, in these situations.
Facts.
So it's just a human type of factor thing that people deal with. So what is one thing that you do that you feel that maybe someone can say, well, what stops you from going back?
That's a great question. Finding purpose to live every day, no matter how big or small or how grand it is, like setting goals. I'll be truthful, I'm not one that avidly has a goal a day, but I have certain milestones in my life I do want to accomplish, and that's something that I can apply on a daily basis that gives me some type of mission or some type of drive to work towards something that doesn't allow me to sit idle in those thoughts, for one.
Okay.
Another is rebuilding my foundation in my faith. So eventually along that journey, I started reading the Bible more, or just having more open conversations about God, or about what I believe in or what we believe in, and how God is moving through my life and throughout my life and through the people around me as well.
Right.
And then that involves also just kind of having my own relationship with God as well, and me being able to know that there's something, someone, or a presence that always has me, even if I think nothing around me can connect with what I'm going through at that point in time. And on an egotistical note, I'll be honest, my gifts, I feel like it would be a waste for me to have the gifts that I have and not see them through. Because anybody could have the talents that I have of writing or speaking or acting, or the presence that I have when I walk in a room, or my mannerisms, all the different blessings that I have. But they were instilled with me with a purpose and for a purpose. So I feel like it's a duty of mine to see them through as to why I was chosen for them to be bestowed upon.
Right.
I wanted to make this album, As Above, So Below. I wanted to make something that helped not only myself first and foremost, something I could always come back to, because musically nothing was speaking to me at that point in time either. And sometimes music used to help, but the type of music that was coming out or I was listening to, it only either pushed me further or it wasn't aiding at all. It was just aiding in trying to cope with it rather than deal with it. So me making this album has helped me heal, and still is healing throughout the process, but also something I could always reference for knowing man, I was at some low points. I'm not at that low point no more.
Exactly.
But there's different points along the journey. As long as I can make it to the next point, I'll be cool. One more step, I'll be cool. And by the time we reach the end of the album, there is a sense of relief that everything can work out if you choose for it to. Because it is a choice, and it's going to take work no matter how much adversity or turmoil is in your life. There's always something on the other side of it, as long as you're willing to see it through. And I didn't want to hurt the people around me. I think sometimes people think about this, like the people around them being hurt, or some people might feel like they don't have anybody that's even gonna care if they going or not.
True.
But I am fortunate enough to have people in my life that truly care about me, that were deeply hurt or deeply would be hurt if I wasn't here anymore.
But someone, even one person, will still hurt if whoever it is, because you're here for a reason.
Yeah. So those are some of the reasons, some of the aspects of my life as to why I haven't slid back into that place, as well as like implementing certain things of me working in purpose and passion with D-Links and what we're doing, and building a clientele and catalog around people telling their stories about themselves or their business that we can actually profit from, but also can help other people in that journey. So I turned my experience, am turning my experience into a way that not only can bring in financial income, but also can help other people shed light on things we might not see in mainstream media, and shed light on things that people need rather than what just they want. And also giving those tidbits of lessons of how to get through it, and like real life practical experiences of what you can do if you find yourself in those predicaments and those situations. Yeah, so all of it really applies. It wasn't just the people around me helping me get out of that. It also takes me on a day-to-day basis making sure I do my best not to go back to where I was. Right. And that takes a due diligence and discipline of making sure that something is always in front of me. Being present in where I am, but also making sure that as I continue to look forward, I move forward, and I'm present with where I am and who I am. So that's what I can think of off the top of my head. I wasn't prepared to answer that question, but hey, we're here now.
Okay. All right. Because that was one of the questions, like your depression thing, I wanted to, touch on. But,
just don't want this to die.
Yeah. Where we at?
Cool. It might die, but it's
okay.
Cool.
Let's just play a little bit of it.
Yeah. I gotta fall into it.
Hey, tell the truth. Please. Hey, tell the truth. MYCOL. Hey, tell the truth. Hey, tell the truth. The weight of a diamond, timing and pressure. Pressure means timing when diamonds will melt. Top of a mountain, no calorie counting. Stepping you following just where I left. Out of the rubble, the struggle, the hustle, the muscle. Just exactly where I felt. All of my pain, it came with the game. It changed the way I went and saw myself. Tell the truth, I'd have been stuck in the mud. Feeling for what? My life exactly what it was. This time I don't wanna give up. Living for bucks was never really what it was. They pouring up chug. Don't worry, this liquor is legal, no drugs. Hit up a plug and drop my location, but wait, ask him how much for a dub. I'm trying to turn up tonight. Bet the price is right. My homie just told me he just got the wheels and finna go grab some ice. I'm down for the ride. I'm trying to get out of the house till 3 in the morning. Hold up, my mama just called. Hello? Where's you going? Tell the truth. 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 You willing to ride or die? You living a lie, but you ain't gon' tell the truth. You willing to ride or die, but you ain't gon' tell the truth. The weight of a diamond, timing and pressure. Pressure me timing when diamonds will melt. Top of the mountain, no calorie counting. Stepping you following just where I left. Out of the rubble, the struggle, the hustle, the muscle. Just exactly where I felt. All of my pain, it came with the game and changed the way I went and saw myself. Just tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Come on. Man, it's been a minute, bro.
So that's the first verse. What I was telling you about.
Right.
And I want to break down the I call it the chorus or the hook before I go back into the second verse. So what I said earlier, the weight of a diamond is timing and pressure. So my perspective of this was kind of more so breaking down like, what does a diamond really cost? What's the true weight of it? Because I was looking at it in the form of like, we have like diamonds, the process they are to be made, they have to go through so much pressure just to come out the way that they do. And we always look at the value of the end result, the shininess, the pearliness, the structure, the spheric, all of that. But we don't value the process of what it takes for that diamond to be made. It literally has to be dismantled, crushed, rebuilt, and molded into something new. And that process for the diamond itself can be very, very painful. But yet we pay so much for something that we don't even know what it costs for it to be made.
Right.
So what's the weight of it? The weight of a diamond is timing and pressure. So it takes time and it takes pressure to truly be great.
Yeah.
Or truly be a diamond.
Yeah.
Timing and pressure. The weight of a diamond is timing and pressure. And pressure meets timing. When diamonds will melt on top of a mountain. No calorie counting. So that's more so saying like pressure meets timing and timing meets pressure, saying like it takes both of them going back and forth. You never know really how much time it might take, but also the pressure of it depends on what your specific journey is. Now speaking in the perspective of the diamond is you, the diamond is me. And if we find ourselves humbled before the journey, because it always seems to me be a dip before you go into that journey. Some type of hiccup or you trip or something happens and it's like, damn, I just want to catch a break. And it's just, you just kind of, sometimes you find yourself going off of one bump into another, and you either in the slope or you on an incline. And with that, you sometimes got to melt down your ego. You got to melt down your pride. You got to melt down whatever the material you're attached to, or melt down the relationships that you've been involved in, or melt down that job, or you got to let go of something to gain more. Because if you're holding on to something in your hand, how are you going to grab anything else?
Right.
If there's something else that's taking up space. So literally letting go of that in order to reach the top of the mountain. And on top of a mountain, no calorie counting. So don't count your steps. How many steps it takes to get there don't matter. It don't matter. Make sure you just complete the journey. Some people are so focused on how many steps I take. Or how long is it going to take? Or how many friends I got? Or how many followers I got? How many likes I got?
Yeah. Right.
Excuse my French, but that shit don't matter.
Yeah.
And I get caught up in it sometimes as well, but I do my best to surround myself and make sure that I check myself to be like, what really matters here? And every now and again, that's when I step away and be like, let me just step away from everything I'm outputting and focus on the input.
Right.
Focus on what I'm inputting to even output to social media in the public world. So those things don't matter. Calorie counting, like that's cool and all, but the reason you're counting your calories is because you want to lose some weight or gain some weight. Like there's something always behind it. That's just the middle ground, the transportation device to get you to where you want to be, not the goal itself. No calorie counting. I'm stepping. You following just where I left.
Because you've been in the situation.
Exactly. Out of the rubble, the struggle, the hustle, the muscle is just exactly where I felt all of my pain. It came with the game and changed the way I went and saw myself. Tell the truth. Meaning it's all a part of life. We all have to go through some type of adversity or struggle to overcome and evolve, to see a newer, better, and improved version of ourselves. Because if life was just always handed to us, we wouldn't grow that way.
You wouldn't
grow at all. And sometimes being in those challenges, it shows you what you're made of, and it shows you what you'll do when your back is against the wall or when you don't have certain resources. It causes you to lean on something more, to create more, go further. And honestly, that's a part of what makes us great or what turns us into those diamonds. Which makes you see yourself of, wow, like I used to spend so much on the diamond, but by the end of this process, you realize, but I am the diamond.
Come on.
And I'll always cost more than me just going to purchase it to be it being on my watch or my chain or my whatever the case might be. It's not on you, it's in you. So that's what that whole hook was basically about. Just in a catchy way to say it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I like the hook. Yeah.
And then it goes back into tell the truth.
Hello. Where's you going? Tell the truth. 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 You willing to ride or die? You living a lie, but you ain't gon' tell the truth. You willing to ride or die, but you ain't gon' tell the truth. The weight of a diamond, timing and pressure. Pressure means timing when diamonds will melt. Top of the mountain, no calorie counting. Stepping, you following just where I left. Out of the rubble, the struggle, the hustle, the muscle. Just exactly where I felt. All of my pain, it came with the game and changed the way I went and saw myself. Just tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Come on. Man, it's been a minute, bro. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. The way I've been moving instead of just grooving. Probably the reason I ain't been improving. When I hit a dip, that's when I start losing momentum and slip. I'm mentally different, I ain't been myself. Trying to help everyone else. Depression, it don't really help. Honestly felt like my potential was meant to be for somebody else. Coping with pain, playing the moment of brokenness over again. Stuck in my brain. Figured if I just keep smoking it, I might see a change. It don't do a thing. God, are you playing a joke with me? Cause I ain't been praying. The sin is the same. Person is hurting, deserving the love and forgiveness the same. Weight of a diamond, timing and pressure. Pressure means timing when diamonds will melt. Top of the mountain, no calorie counting. Stepping, you following just where I left. Out of the rubble, the struggle, the hustle, the muscle. Just exactly where I felt. All of my pain, it came with the game and changed. Way I went and saw myself. Tell the truth.
So the second verse is very, very monumental because it speaks on the way I've been moving instead of just grooving. It's probably the reason I ain't been improving. Because it's going back to the first verse of me just partying and just trying to, like, you know what I'm saying, escape rather than deal with it. When I hit a dip, that's when I start losing momentum and slip. I'm mentally different. I ain't been myself. I'm trying to help everyone else. Depression, it don't really help. I honestly felt like my potential was meant to be for somebody else. Coping with pain, playing the moment of brokenness, over again, stuck in my brain. Figured if I just keep smoking it, I might see a change. It don't mean a thing. No, it don't do a thing. God, are you playing a joke on me? Cause I ain't been praying. The sin is the same. Person that's hurting, deserving the love and forgiveness of saints. So it's all just literally. I remember I came across a TikTok. I think Jerry sent me this TikTok. Shout out Southside Jerry. To where this Asian guy has said, depression is just a representation of us constantly replaying the past. Yeah. And anxiety is just a representation of us constantly overthinking about the future. So as long as you do your best to remain present, you'll be able to, maneuver a lot better. Exactly. So that's a lot of where the depression came from, going back and replaying certain thoughts. And that's why some people numb themselves, because they're trying to not think about what happened. Right. And things of that nature. So, but also people pleasing. Always worrying about if somebody else is good rather than focus on what you need. Because you said that, people pleasing or trying to do for others before you do for yourself. Right. And it's that balance of being selfish and selfless or self-fulfilling. Mm-hmm. Because if you're always focused on what the next person or the loved ones in your life need, then sometimes you won't be able to give. How can you give from an empty cup, basically? You can't. You have to come from the overflow. So it was a culmination of that, and then as well as literally me in those time periods not being founded in my faith. So it kind of came back to me thinking about, like, man, excuse me, there's moments where we all sin. There's moments where we all go against our righteous path. So who are we to really judge the criminal or the thug or the gangster? You're not. We're not in a position to really judge, because we've all done things we're not proud of. We've all done things that if God looked at us and be like, now you know you was tripping when you did that. You know you was tripping when you did that. Yeah. So it kind of made me think about it to have more empathy for, like, the sin is the same. Person that's hurting, deserving the love and forgiveness of saints. Mm-hmm. Because there's no one without the other. Right. There's no light without dark. There's no dark without light. So this was also a common culmination of me channeling my shadow side and being okay with it. And still knowing my shadow side can never overrule the light within me as long as I accept my darkness and live within the truth of my light. So, yeah.
Live your truth.
Tell the truth. Any other questions?
No.
What happens to your question sheet?
That was pretty much my question. Yeah. Well, but you guys stay tuned. We're gonna dissect this album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A brilliant mind. And I think people need to know it.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel hearing, like, you know, the journey over again after us living through it?
Oh, man. I remember just breaking down because that's not you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You going through depression. I know we all deal with depression. And I'm not really sure if there's different levels to it because depression is depression.
Mm-hmm.
But we all get depressed here and there. But when someone stays in depression and you live in it, then it's different.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't expect you to be in that place. So therefore, I'm always wondering or asking if you're okay. But I know you are. And what I try to do is just make sure I keep you in a path that I know that serves your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest thing. But to hear it, I mean, I'm just thankful to God and everything that you came out of it because so many people don't.
Mm-hmm.
But no.
I still live with it to this day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a vivid moment for me. Because it's just, you just never think that, you know, your child or anyone will go through that. But that's the reason why I always tell MYCOL, for real, whenever it's something I said, Oprah said a long time ago, whenever you have a best girlfriend, you never need a therapist. But everyone needs to talk to someone, no matter what, hands down. Because you keeping things inside is not good.
Facts.
Because that's one of the things you, like you say, you keep going back over things that you feel that you've done wrong or that you could have done better. And that's not the case because we all have been there.
Or even what people have done to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is, you guys, and I tell MYCOL this all the time, is talk. You can find that one person that you can talk to, then that's who you talk to. You got to be able to trust them, of course. But once you find that, then that's what you need to do. Always talk to someone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So we're going to figure out, I think the next one is on your mama. That's the one I want to do next time. We're going to have to do that next time.
I thought I was going to play the next one, but no, we'll do it next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The clean version or explicit version?
The clean version.
Yeah, I don't bump. All right.
We'll see. So. We'll see.
No, I'm playing.
We'll see. Okay, you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you all tuning in. If you haven't, please hit me up in my DMs or send me a personal message, and I'll send you a link as well as instructions of how you can purchase the album and listen for yourself, as above, so below, so you can listen for yourself. You know, what caused a lot of this, how did I go through it song by song, but as well as, like, you know, where I am today, to be able to talk about it and share that vulnerable spaces in my life with such, you know, individuals I don't know, some I do know. As well as we appreciate you tuning into this conversation. We'll definitely have more. Make sure you follow her on her social media. Go ahead and shout yourself out.
Mama D Reality.
On Instagram. Yes. Want to spell it for him? Because these people spell mama different ways.
Oh, it's MAMAD.
Yeah, MAMA.
D.
Yeah, D.
Reality.
Reality. Mama D Reality. MAMADREALITY. As well as on Facebook, Devonda Lindsay. And then on you can follow me on all social platforms at MYCOL Vin. That's MYCOL VYNN. And if you look up the album, it's just under MYCOL. That's MYCOL. As above, so below. ASABOVESOBELOW. As above, so below. And be sure to tune into our website and our YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep. So with that being said, thank you. We will be back soon, and we appreciate everybody that tuned in and shared your perspectives. You know what I'm saying?
Mama D.
MYCOL.
To B, D, and D.
You heard me. I guess I should smile too for a little thumbnail.
You so silly. You so silly. You need to stop.
That should be cool.
This was special.
Hey, tell the truth. Please. Hey, tell the truth. MYCOL. Hey, tell the truth. Hey, tell the truth.